country's first case of the Omicron subvariant 2.12. Arriving asymptomatic, she traveled to a university in Quezon City and Baguio for a seminar. She eventually tested positive for the virus after experiencing symptoms. She has since recovered and is now back in Finland. The Omicron subvariant 2.12, while still not a variant of interest, has been spreading in South Korea and the United States. This comes at a time when groups have been warning of a possible surge in COVID cases come next month. The Octa Research Group, for one, sees cases hitting 5,000 a day should the subvariant enter the country.
Possible na yung surge ay maging may similar trajectory doon sa nakita natin noong January na mabilis siya makapanghawa, mabilis dumami at baka mabilis rin bumagsak yung bilang ng kaso.
Aside from subvariants, the country has to deal with possible super spreader events during the elections. The president himself has urged strict compliance to health protocols.
Remember the things that government wants you to follow so that hindi masyado tayo mahirapan and we will prevent another surge.
Health protocol violations have spiked. The Interior Department recorded 85,000 people who wore their masks improperly, up from just 28,000 2 weeks ago.
Tinatawag din natin ng mga LGUs, ang mga campaign organizers na magtumulong sa pagpapatupad ng minimum public health standards.
The Health Department is also urging more Filipinos to get vaccinated. 3 days into the rollout of the second booster dose for the immunocompromised, only 1,000 have gotten their fourth dose. What's worse, 3.6 million doses of donated vaccines from the COVAX facility have expired.
I-replace po ng COVAX facility. Nag-meeting na po kami kahapon at meron na po silang sulat sa atin.
Authorities now want health frontliners, senior citizens, and even OFWs and seafarers to be prioritized for the fourth dose. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
The Lacson-Soto tandem takes their campaign to Camanava and Bulacan today. They were welcomed by Malabon Mayor Lenlen Oreta, who has already endorsed the tandem of Lenny Robredo and Kiko Pangilinan. Instead of holding a grand rally, Lacson and Soto held a dialogue with Malabon residents instead. They will also pay a courtesy call to Mayor Arthur Robes and other local officials in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan later today. Presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos claims that he never tried to evade the media. However, experiences of some reporters on the ground tell otherwise. Marian Enriquez with the story.
I'm always out in the public. That's presidential candidate Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s response to criticisms that members of the media find it hard to interview him. In an interview with CNN Philippines, Marcos Jr. was even seemingly puzzled.
I don't know kung bakit sinasabi that yung mahirap ako yung ambush interview. I'm always out in public. Pero siyempre, we're doing something else also. But I don't know why they say that because, as I said, hindi naman ako pwedeng magtago.
2 months into covering Marcos Jr.'s campaign trail, it was no easy feat to talk to the presidential aspirant. His security team has always been aggressive in blocking reporters.
Sir, nakakayag na po ba kayo sa estate tax?
Sir, nag-ausap po kayo ni President Duterte.
Sir, kasama kayo sa debate kay Senator Pacquiao? Sir, ayaw, hindi pa rin siya sumasagot. Sigurado sa dalawang event natin kanina, hindi pa siya sumasagot.
Sir, would you discourage your supporters from doing negative campaigning? Ano? Ang sakit!
Even the international media find it hard to get something out of Marcos Jr.
Excuse me, sir! Can I give you my cut? Sir! Marcos! Sir!
Can you really be a good president if you're not doing serious interviews? Are you hiding something from the public? Are you hiding something, Mr. Marcos?
News 5 was excluded from Marcos Jr.'s Cagayan de Oro presser, his camp's first since launching his campaign.
Are you raising concerns about the smartmatic data breach?
I cannot. Now? Parang mahirap ngayon. Sorry. We'll do it again.
And yet, Marcos tells CNN Philippines that he plans to hold regular press briefings should he get elected. He is also not keen on having a spokesperson.
Haharap ako sa media. I don't understand but
That would be good for us to cover you
But may spokesman ng presidente. Kaya mo na-explain ng presidente kahit na ano.
For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Meanwhile, the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility, or CMFR, believes that the camp of Marcos Jr. cannot deny their obvious attempts to keep the media away. CMFR founder Virgel Santos told The Big Story that it seems absurd how the former senator denies being elusive to interviewers. He said Marcos Jr. appears to be avoiding questions that will put him in a bad light.
I cannot understand how he can deny what is so obvious, which is keeping the media well off him. Because if he had not done that, we would have had all the answers to all the questions that we want to ask him.
One News Now will be back with more stories after this quick break. Keep it here. You are still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Pinoy wonderkid Kai Soto will be joining the 2022 NBA Draft this June. In an Instagram post, the 19-year-old asked for continued support as he pursues what he calls his ultimate dream. Soto is gunning to be the first homegrown Filipino basketball player to make it to the NBA. Soto played 1 year with the Adelaide 36ers in the Australian National Basketball League. The 7'3" center averaged 7.5 points and 4.5 rebounds in his professional league debut. And And Japanese businesses are feeling the inflation pinch as the yen hits a 20-year low against the US dollar. Bloomberg's Kurumi Mori tells us more in this quick take.
Cheers. As much fun as it is to come to a bar lately here in Tokyo, now that COVID restrictions have lifted, we're facing yet another problem: the weak yen. Tsutomu Kobayashi imports German beers that get served at stores across Japan, including this one.
うちはもういいこと全然ないですね。
Tsutomu says he's been losing sleep over the uncertainty, with the weak yen adding even more stress than before.
円安だけじゃないです。まずコロナとかいろんなウクライナの要素もあって、ドイツ側からビールそのものの値上げがされたんですよね。値上げされた上に円安なので、ダブルパンチでうちとしては仕入れにかかる発注額っていうのが結構厳しい状態になってます。
Other businesses also feel the pain of trying to survive the latest hurdle without losing customers as the yen hit its weakest level in 20 years. With a food self-sufficiency rate of 37%, Japan is highly dependent on food imports such as beef.
変えないようにしたいなと思ってるんですけれども、今円安がすごく進んでますので、このまま円安が進むようだとやっぱこれから仕入れの値段に大きくまた影響してくる可能性はありますので。
And even seafood. Japan has been importing salmon from Norway, often sold at supermarkets and used in restaurants for sushi and other dishes.
外国産のノルウェーサーモンが高い状態が続くようであれば、国産のサーモンを今の3種類から、例えば4種類ぐらいまで増やしてっていう国産のサーモンの比率を上げることは考えられますけれど。
For now, even drinking your sorrows away could cost you a pretty yen.
For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.